What up, Cadillac Chescalades? We're back again, day 3. This video, I'm just gonna go around the TI, currently sitting in the TI. We're in a parking garage right now. I thought I'd change it up, get out of the garage a little bit. And I thought I would go ahead and make this video about the car itself. It's been in the background of the last 2, but I haven't talked about anything on it other than I think I showed the wheels in the last video for a split second. The last time it was on the channel, back a couple years ago, it was still silver automatic 4-banger, but it's come a long way since then, so I thought I'd just go ahead and fill you guys in on what all is done to it. Also, what needs to be addressed. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed. Whew. All right, here she is. So for those of you unfamiliar, this is a BMW E36, but it's not the average E36, it's the better version. It's the better version E36. It's the hatchback. 318 Ti from the factory. In Europe, they got the 323 Ti, but America, we only got the 318 Ti. I originally got this car because I had a 328 E36, a 96 328, and I took it off the side of the road, crashed it. But it gave me a really good idea, and I got the opportunity to take that whole car apart, strip it down, and then I didn't have a plan for what it was going to go into. I looked at some M3s, some more 328s, a couple of convertibles, and I was like, TI looking pretty sick. It's pretty different, so I pulled the trigger on a TI. That was 4 years ago. And I'll go ahead and insert a clip or a picture of what the car looked like in the beginning. It is a base model TI. I don't think it got any accessories with the car, just bare bones, the cheapest E36 that BMW made. Got it out of Georgia. Car came from California, so rust-free, not a spot of rust on the thing. Real nice. Have a M52 from the last car that I pulled apart sitting in my garage, and this is the perfect candidate for a swap. If you know 318 Ti, the M52 or the M42 or the M44 it's a dog, it's really slow. So what we got here is the M52 swapped into this thing. Yes, I will tell you why the engine bay is not red. The car is not actually factory red. Can you believe it? That's crazy. M52 from a 328 went through a lot of trial and error getting this in. Not so much learning how to do it, but more like dealing with people, dealing with shops. I made a really good friend doing this. Stripped the M52 down to nothing, painted the block, redid every single gasket and the whole thing. I've got a piece of paper written down with everything that I bought, everything he did. I mean, it's extensive. This thing should essentially be bulletproof for the rest of its life. If it blows up in A, then I don't know really what to say, because it drives phenomenally. It's literally perfect. There it is. It's a little dusty. Maybe that's another day we address the dust on it. And there's a couple other things that could use some tidying, like this is just kind of free floating. I don't really love that. I don't think it affects anything, but I don't like it. We got Megan Racing coils from the old 328 repurposed for the front. For those of you that don't know, a TI has a very unique rear end. It is very similar, if not the same, to a Z3 or an E30. So coilovers for an E36 only fit TIs in the front. You can put them on the rear, but I think it raises the car, and that's not the look. So moving on from the power plant, which is pretty much a lot of what is done to the car. ECS black grills. I think I got these off ECS. Would not recommend to a friend. This one doesn't even want to stay in. This one's staying in just enough to not fall out. I think I'll probably end up switching back to the chrome grill that came with the car, just because my taste has changed in the last couple of years from when I bought that black grill, and I think chrome's actually pretty hot right now, so probably switch back to the chrome. Need that. Depot glass headlights, not HID, but projector. We have fog light delete, which I think is definitely the move for any E36 owner. Fog lights are sick. I definitely get it. You're 17 years old, you have an E36. Get your fog light game up, maybe make them yellow, but I mean, with the M3 front bumper, you need those covers. That sets the car off. Another thing that I need to address is this. I don't have the center garnish in. I have the factory style M3 mesh. Oh yeah, this is not a OEM front bumper. I have the factory style mesh, but Black Friday, ECS had a pretty good deal on certain parts, and I was able to pick up the luxury style lattice garnish, and that's wrapped red. I need to put that on, but the tabs on the eBay M3 bumper don't work very well at all. They're gonna break off, and I don't want that piece to fly off on the road, so still trying to figure out a solution for that. So obviously the car is red. It started off silver, which when I first got it, I hated silver, just because I feel like every E36 you see is a silver one, and when they're not done up with all the bells and whistles, they just look trash, in my opinion. A factory 325 in silver put me to sleep. Started off silver, got the car wrapped in a Nazatec red. Gosh, this was back when a Nazatec was brand new. I wish I could remember the name of the wrap, but there was basically two options. It was either metallic red or this red, and I thought the metallic might look too much like a bass boat, so I went with this red, and I'm really happy with it. The last one was red, this one's red. It has the same engine as, it has the motor out of the first car, so I thought that was kind of a cool, I don't know, cool for myself, little Easter egg situation. When I did the wrap, we also had to do a bunch of body work on the car. I did a lot of it myself, but I did have some things done professionally. And one of those was cutting the arches out and putting a over fender on the car. And I think this turned out really nice. There's a couple places where it could use some better adhesion, but overall, no rivets, no glue, just a double-sided tape. I mean, I've heard these things get hit by the tires when you go over speed bumps and stuff like that. No pop-off. I've never noticed it get worse than the day I had it. Like the day I picked it up, it has stayed consistent. And I'm just a big fan. If I could go back, I probably wouldn't cut my car, but now that it is cut, I don't really regret it. There is something to be said about a clean factory bodyline car. But it is too late. I am not going to cry about it. Obviously, if you're an E36 guy, you know you need the M3 side trim. For whatever reason, one of the biggest differences visually for a non-M and an M car is that side trim. Very, very few cars can pull off the non-M3 side trim. So if you're one of those cars, I salute you, but not me. I needed that thick piece. I think it does a world of difference for the car. And Black Friday coming in hot yet again. Picked up some M3 twisty skirts. I would not recommend these. The plastic on them is low quality. This seal, it doesn't want to stay seated. This is everything that came in the kit. Like the seal, the clips don't work. It's disconnecting in the front. That is actually something I need to address before it gets worse. And the plastic is very wavy. It's kind of hard to show you, but it almost looks like what you would imagine that looking like, but on a ECS branded part, which is kind of disappointing. The factory jack points for the OEM jack do not function at all. I have them. They're sitting on my dash. I don't want to lose them, so I don't plan on using that. I might just glue them in permanently, but that is definitely something I need to figure out. All right, the next part of the car that a lot of TI guys especially will find interesting is the LTW wing on a hatch. So obviously this isn't OEM LTW, this is replica, but the quality is really, I mean, I can't find anything wrong with it. And what you had to do in order to get this to fit, you had to shave this base plate in order to meet the glass line. Now this may look like it, but it is not sitting on the glass. If anything, it's sitting on that rubber trim that seals the back window. Oh, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but Dedicated Auto Club in Covington, Kentucky, they're the ones who wrap the car, and they're the ones that got me the Nazatech. They're pretty early with it, from what I was told. So they also put me in contact with the body shop that was able to cut my fenders, glue them, seal them, finish some of the body work. I did a lot of it, but I think they did the rest of the hood, and they definitely did this. I do not have fiberglass skill set yet. Factory antenna. People say delete the antenna. No way. Keep the antenna. The antenna is nice. Clear taillights. Clear, red and clear taillights. I wish I could find all clear. If anyone out there knows where I can find some all clear TI taillights for anything less than $1,000, please point me in the direction. I'm there. I don't want to go back to the amber, but I really think the clear and red looks eBay-esque, and there's just no winning. I guess I could make them all red, but with an all red car, that's not, I don't think that's really a good move, because the shade will definitely be off. We have M3 mirrors, also an ECS come up. Unlike the side skirts, the M3 mirrors actually nice. There is a couple things I need to address just from wrapping them. We could not, we couldn't come up with a good way to wrap this without it being horribly, like, a lot of lift. And I think the solution we came up with is, like, it looks, I don't know, it looks hand done. That's because it is. But the problem I have with it is in here, we tried to do a piece of black, like a small pinstriping to conceal this edge, and the pinstriping piece does not want to stay put. Kind of hard to tell on camera, but when you're driving, that's definitely something you notice the whole time, because you're looking at your mirror, you're looking right at the problem. Moving to the back of the car, what you really can't see is a 345 limited slip diff and some Condor bushings. And for exhaust, we have the factory M52 headers back to a M3 cat, because I don't know, I cut the cats out on the last car, and it smelled like gas in the cabin. And yeah, race car, but also when you drive it all the time, you don't want to just constantly be sniffing fumes, and that kind of, I was mad at myself I didn't keep the cats. So I had to make a journey to the middle of nowhere to a homie who by chance was selling M3 cats, which was perfect for what I needed. Cut me a good deal. But I kind of bounced around on mufflers for 2 years, until I finally just said, screw this. I'm not spending X amount of dollars on a named exhaust, especially if no one can confirm the drone. I took it to a local exhaust shop and just said, put me an exhaust on here that is quiet. I don't care. It's not a fast car. It's just peppy and quick around town. I don't need a loud exhaust. So we have just a nameless muffler, not the Subaru nameless. This is just no name. And this ugly joint right here. But I have a solution. I have a little tip I like to put on this just to, I mean, it's not fancy. I don't want to draw a lot of attention to it, but I got a little turn down tip. I'd like to put that on there just to kind of at least make the whole exhaust system look like it's been gone through and not just hacked up at your local muffler shop. Got the rear wiper. People say delete that. Why? Why? Having a rear wiper is nice. It's raining, no problem. Turn the rear wiper on. You don't, I mean, I'm not deleting my front wipers. Why would I delete my rear wiper? Moving inside of the car. So we have a carbon fiber gauge cluster. You got the carbon fiber gauge cluster here. This is an eBay joint that is kind of slept on because it comes with chrome rings, which I painted black, and that might be some of my finest paint work. If you're a desperate E36 guy, you definitely know about the red Sharpie delicately, I'm talking delicately, painting your gauge needles. That was some of the highest stress I have ever experienced in my life, trying not to break them or mess them up, and luckily they all work just as they should. The only problem with this whole setup is this section right here. These black rings did not want to sit inside of the cluster, so I had to use a little bit of super glue to get them to stay there when I put it all together. Well, it turns out a little bit of super glue got on the plastic piece of the cluster. So this whole thing has to come back out, take it, separate it. As soon as I noticed it, I was like, just put the wheel back on. Let me just drive it. Black interior. That is one of the biggest things I wanted out of this car, was a black interior. And I gotta say, it's spotless. The only downside is it's a base model interior. So these seats I'm sitting in they're garbage. No bolster, nothing. I would have liked to eventually get some kind of solution to the seat. I've bounced around a lot of ideas. Faders, bucket seat, reclining racing seat, you name it. But that's something I'd like to do along with the steering wheel. It is factory E36 wheel. I do have two M3 versions, very similar in shape. Clock springs don't match, or the ribbon inside the clock spring, something's a little bit different. I think they're for 95s and this is a 98. And I've considered like wrapping this wheel, like doing like a stitch job wrap, or getting a different M version of the wheel, maybe like the E30 style of the wheel. Eventually I will change the wheel out to something I'd like to do. Anyway, we have the click tuning short shifter. And it's pretty, oh yeah, driving Crocs, necessary. Click tuning short shifter, really notchy. Anyone that's ever got in this car and run through the gears is like, wow, that feels so great. That's so notchy. I love the noise. And I have to agree. Check this. I have a severe amount of headliner sag. That is something I need to address before I go insane. I have to get my headliner pinned back up. I am so tired of seeing it flapping in my rear view or looking around the outside of the car and seeing the nasty orange foam piece hanging down. At first I thought I cannot stand the gray headliner. Now I'm thinking that's crazy. Just put it back together and then maybe figure out how to make it all black. But until I hear a good answer to how to make this black, it is such a soft and delicate piece that has to retract you have to drop the whole headliner, drop the sunroof to get that piece out in order to put it black. And when your sunroof works just fine, it is a big gamble to say, I'd like it to break, because I can't deal with it being gray, and I have come to peace with myself. I'm okay with the gray. The last thing I've done in this car that I haven't already mentioned is I also have a click tuning strut tower brace in the back. These joints, SSR Koenig Monsters or SSR Koenigs, I can't find a great answer to that. Sensei 6 built, did not purchase from Sensei himself. These are actually purchased secondhand off Martin's place out of Virginia. Took a little road trip up there, picked them up. I think they look sick. Unfortunately, they are not the right specs for the car. They're really aggressive, and I am going to swap them out for Empars that I'm currently redoing. I have the center caps and the hardware for them. Yeah, they're just too aggressive. I rub in the front. I can't even go to full lock. The car rubs, and I want it to drive really nice, and with these wheels it's not. And I also think I used to want to be a hot boy, drive around on baller wheels. Not anymore, really. Right now, monoblock is the move. So I'll be going to Empars, which I'd really prefer to go to 17s. But there's not a factory 17 wheel. There's not a BMW factory 17 wheel that would actually fit the spec without running an insane spacer to fill out the flares, which would not look right. And there's not really an aftermarket wheel that I have my heart set on. And I happened to be at the junkyard one day looking for other things, and I saw a 7 Series sitting there on Empars, and as quick as I got there, I grabbed those things. Didn't even look around. I was just so excited to find Empars. So that's what I'll be working on. Anyway, long stories get short. I think that's where I'm gonna cut this one off. I thought it'd just be nice to update everyone on where the project is right now. It's come a long way. It's got a lot further to go. Peace.